I still remember that night, the night when everything I believed about humanity changed forever. I was alone, sitting inside the control room of an abandoned outpost far beyond the edge of our galaxy. The air was thick with dust, and the only sound was a faint humming of broken machines. Red emergency lights flickered on the walls, casting long shadows that seemed alive. At first, it was just silence, the kind of silence that makes your heartbeat sound louder than it should. But then, I heard it. A whisper, a voice that was not supposed to be there. "Do you know what you really are?" it said. My body froze. My hands trembled against the console. I thought maybe it was just a glitch in the comm system, or maybe I was too tired. But the voice came again, sharper, closer, and what it said next made my blood run cold. Humans, chaos made flesh. I didn't understand. The words echoed in my head like a curse. I wanted to run, but my legs refused to move. Outside the cracked window, the sky was empty. No stars, no ships, only a strange red mist swirling slowly, like it was alive. Suddenly, alarms began to scream, the walls vibrating as if the entire outpost was being shaken by unseen hands. I grabbed the edge of the desk, my heart pounding, and then the systems lit up by themselves. A recording began to play. It wasn't human. It was alien, cold, distorted, but filled with fear. The message repeated one line over and over. "Beware the humans. They scare the galaxy." My chest tightened. Why would alien civilizations fear us? We were fragile, mortal, weak compared to them. Or so I had always believed. But as the voice repeated, something deep inside me stayed, an uncomfortable truth I had ignored all my life. Outside, the red mist thickened, pressing against the windows like it wanted to come inside. I heard metallic footsteps in the corridor, slow and heavy, even though I knew no one else was supposed to be here. My breath quickened, fogging the glass in front of me, and then I saw it, a figure standing at the end of the hallway. Its shape was blurred, not fully solid, but its eyes glowed with pale light. It was watching me, waiting. I swallowed hard, trying to speak, but my voice cracked. Who are you?" The figure tilted its head, and the whisper returned, louder this time, filling every corner of the room. "You are what they fear. You are what they cannot control." The lights flickered again, plunging everything into darkness. I felt the cold air brush against my neck, as if someone was standing right behind me. My heart raced. My instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't leave. I had to know. Why were humans feared by the galaxy? Why did they call us chaos? That was the beginning of a journey that would reveal the darkest truths about us, truths I was never supposed to discover. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The control room was silent again, but Eric's heart had not slowed. His ears still rang from the whisper, and his skin felt cold, as if the shadow he had seen had left something behind. He forced himself to move, to shake off the fear, and walk toward the console. The screens were still glowing, their static light painting the room in ghostly colors. He sat down, trying to steady his breath. The alien recording still echoed in his mind. "Beware the humans. They scare the galaxy." Eric's fingers trembled as he typed into the old system. Dust fell from the keyboard with every press. He searched through broken files, corrupted data, fragments of reports left behind by whoever had once lived here. Most of the documents were unreadable, their words lost to time. But then one folder appeared, hidden deep inside the system. Its title was short, written in an alien language, but translated into human script it read, "The Chaos Project." His throat tightened. Something about the name felt wrong, like a memory half buried in his blood. He opened the first file. The words appeared slowly on the cracked screen. It was a report, written not by humans, but by an alien civilization known for their wisdom and power. Their voices trembled through the audio log. "They cannot be controlled," the alien voice said. "Humans are not like other species. Where others break, humans adapt. Where others fall, humans rise. They turn suffering into strength. Pain only makes them more dangerous. That is why the galaxy fears them. That is why we call them chaos made flesh." Eric felt his mouth go dry. The outpost groaned around him, metal creaking like it remembered the same fear. He read on. The report continued. One human alone may seem weak, but together they become storms. They fight wars not only against others, but against themselves. They burn their worlds, yet still survive. Their minds create beauty and horror with equal fire. And if they ever unite fully, no power in the stars could stand against them. Eric leaned back in his chair. His chest ached, not from fear alone, but from the weight of truth pressing down on him. All his life, he had thought of humans as small compared to the endless galaxy. But the aliens had seen something else, something humans never realize about themselves. Suddenly, the console flickered. The folder began to open more files on its own. Images flashed across the screen. Wars, cities burning, human faces twisted in anger, but also faces shining with hope and love. A strange sound filled the room, a mix of screams and laughter, as if every human emotion had been recorded into one storm of noise. The lights above Eric buzzed, and the temperature dropped further. He could see his breath clearly now. The shadow from before returned. It stood closer this time, at the edge of the room, glowing eyes fixed on him. Eric forced himself to speak. "What do you want from me?" The shadow's voice whispered, louder now, sharp like broken glass. "You wanted the truth. Now carry it." The screens around him exploded with light. New files opened, revealing coordinates across the galaxy, places where humans had once clashed with alien empires. Each mark was a scar. Each battle had ended with humans surviving against impossible odds. Some victories, some defeats, but always survival. Eric understood. The aliens were afraid not because humans were the strongest, but because they could never truly be defeated. Their chaos was not weakness, it was a fire that kept them alive. But before he could think further, the alarms blared again. The entire outpost shook violently, dust raining from the ceiling. The red mist outside thickened, pressing harder against the glass. And from the corridor came a new sound, not footsteps this time, but many footsteps. Dozens, hundreds, marching in rhythm, coming closer. Eric's chest tightened. He looked back at the shadow, but it was gone. Only its whisper remained, fading into the walls. "They are coming, and they know you have seen the truth." The control room door began to tremble, as if something massive was trying to break inside. Eric jumped from the chair, panic burning through him. He knew he had only seconds to decide, run, or face whatever waited behind that door. And in that moment, he realized something terrifying. The galaxy might not only fear humans, it might be hunting them. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The metal door shook violently, each strike louder than thunder. Dust rained down from the ceiling as the hinges bent, screaming under the pressure. Eric's pulse hammered in his chest. He staggered back, his eyes fixed on the trembling frame. Something was outside, something strong, something that wanted in. He glanced at the console, hoping for an answer, but the screens were now filled with static, the alien files gone as if they had never existed. Only one message remained, glowing in harsh red letters across every display. "Do not open the door." Eric's breath caught in his throat. The command was clear, but the door was not waiting for his choice. Cracks split along the metal, sparks flying as unseen hands tore at the frame. The sound grew unbearable, a grinding scream of metal against metal. And then, silence. The pounding stopped. The corridor outside was quiet, too quiet, like the silence before a storm. Eric's chest rose and fell in shallow breaths, his hands shaking at his sides. He wanted to believe it was over, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. Slowly, he stepped toward the door, his boots echoing in the dead air. The control room was dark now, only the weak glow of the warning message lighting his face. He reached out, his hand hovering just inches from the lock panel. And then it happened. A whisper, so close it felt like it came from inside his head. "Do not trust the silence." Eric's hand froze. He spun around, searching the shadows, but no one was there. His heart raced faster. The outpost was playing with him, feeding him fear, twisting his thoughts. Before he could react, the door groaned again. A single dent pushed inward, shaped like the impression of a hand. Then another, and another, until the entire surface was covered in the marks of something desperately trying to get inside. Eric stumbled back, fear rising in his throat. But then he noticed something strange. The handprints were not alien. They were human. His body went cold. His mind screamed for answers. Why would humans be outside the door? This station had been abandoned for decades. There was no way anyone could still be alive out there. And yet, the evidence was right in front of him. The console flickered again, bringing up a new file by itself. A broken video recording played on the screen. It showed a group of humans, scientists, soldiers, explorers, inside the same outpost years earlier. Their faces were pale with terror, their voices shaky. "We tried to warn them," one man whispered, his eyes wide. "We tried to tell the galaxy that we are not the monsters they believe us to be. But they were right to fear us. We could not stop it. The chaos is inside us." The video cut to static. Eric's head spun. The chaos inside humans? Was that the meaning of the whispers? Was it not only about fear, but something living within their very nature? Before he could think further, the door burst open with a deafening crash. Metal shards flew across the room, clattering against the walls. Eric shielded his face, stumbling back. When he lowered his arm, his blood ran cold. The corridor outside was filled with figures, dozens of them. Their bodies were human, but their movements were wrong, jerky, twisted, as if something else was controlling them. Their eyes glowed the same pale light as the shadow he had seen before. They stepped into the room in perfect rhythm, their boots striking the floor like drums of war. Eric's breath caught. He tried to speak, but no words came. The leading figure stopped in front of him, tilting its head with the same slow, unnatural motion as the shadow. And then, in a voice that was both human and not, it whispered, "You wanted to know why they fear you. Now you will see." The figures moved closer, surrounding him. The lights above flickered wildly, casting their shadows across the walls. Eric's chest tightened, fear clawing at him. He wanted to run, but the circle had already closed around him. And then, the leader extended its hand, human in shape, but cold and lifeless, like stone. Eric hesitated, trembling, his mind screaming to escape. But deep inside, another thought whispered, what if the answers he sought could only be found by taking that hand? He swallowed hard, sweat dripping down his face. The choice stood before him. Touch the hand and discover the truth, or refuse and face whatever horror came next. The figures waited silently, their glowing eyes fixed on him, and the door behind them slammed shut, trapping him inside with them. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The room was cold, colder than the void outside. The circle of human-like figures stood in silence, their pale eyes glowing in the dark. Eric's chest rose and fell in shallow breaths, his sweat freezing on his skin. The leader kept its hand outstretched, waiting. Every part of Eric's body screamed at him not to touch it. Yet something deeper, something buried inside his blood, whispered that this was the only way forward. He stared at the hand, shaking, torn between fear and need. Finally, with trembling fingers, he reached out. The moment their skin touched, a surge of fire shot through him. His vision blurred, his knees buckled, and his heart felt like it would burst. He gasped for air, but the air itself seemed to vanish. Images exploded in his mind. Wars, screams, laughter, children crying, soldiers dying. He saw humanity not as individuals, but as a storm of endless chaos, anger, love, destruction, creation, all tangled together like fire and smoke. Eric collapsed to the floor, clutching his head. His body trembled violently, his breath sharp and broken. The figures didn't move. They only watched, silent witnesses to his torment. When he lifted his head again, his eyes burned. The control room no longer looked the same. The walls pulsed like veins, glowing faintly red, as if the outpost itself was alive. The figures blurred, their shapes shifting between human and alien, shadow and flesh. And then he heard the voice. Not outside, not in the air, but inside his mind. You are one of them. You carry it too. Eric shook his head, gasping. No, I'm not like this. I'm just a man, just human. The voice laughed, a sound both warm and cruel. That is why they fear you. Not because of your weakness, but because you cannot be broken. Pain makes you stronger. Death makes you remembered. You are the storm they cannot control. Eric's vision cleared just enough for him to see the console. A new file was open. It showed endless records of battles across the galaxy. Each time humans had faced extinction, they had adapted, fought, survived. Against impossible odds, they endured. The voice whispered again, "That is chaos. That is why they called you Flesh of Storms." The figures stepped back in unison, their glowing eyes never leaving him. The leader lowered its hand. For the first time, Eric felt like the test was over. But then, the alarm screamed again. The outpost trembled so violently that the floor cracked beneath his feet. Dust and sparks fell from above. A deep rumble filled the corridors, like something massive was waking beneath the structure. The figures turned toward the door, their eyes flashing brighter, as if they sensed what were coming. Eric struggled to stand, clutching the console for support. "What's happening?" he shouted, though his voice was drowned by the roar. The leader's whisper cut through the noise. "They are here." The door burst open again, but this time it was not humans or shadows that entered. It was soldiers, alien soldiers, armored in black steel, weapons glowing with deadly light. Their helmets reflected the red emergency glow as they stormed inside. "Target located," one shouted in a harsh alien tongue. "Do not let him escape." Eric's heart froze. They weren't after the shadow figures. They were after him. The human-like figures didn't move, didn't fight back. They only melted into the darkness, vanishing as if they had never been there. Eric was left alone, surrounded by soldiers aiming their weapons at his chest. He raised his hand slowly, sweat dripping down his face. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Why are you here?" "Why me?" One of the soldiers stepped forward, his weapon humming with energy. The visor lifted, revealing reptilian eyes filled with hatred. "You have seen what you were never meant to see," the soldier growled. "And for that, you must die." Eric's heart pounded. His back hit the console, nowhere left to run. The soldier raised his weapon, the glowing barrel pointed directly at his head. But before the shot was fired, the outpost shook again. This time, the sound was deafening, a roar so powerful that it shattered the glass panels and made the entire structure groan. The soldiers froze, their heads snapping toward the corridor. Their weapons trembled in their hands. Eric could feel it too. Something enormous was coming. Something not alien, not shadow, not human, but something worse. The soldier hissed a curse. "It has awakened." Eric's blood turned to ice. Whatever the galaxy feared most was here. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The outpost shook with a force that felt alive. The walls groaned like they were being torn apart, and the floor cracked beneath Eric's boots. Dust filled the air, turning every breath into fire. The alien soldiers around him froze, their weapons still raised, but their eyes full of fear. Eric clutched the console, his heart slamming against his ribs. He could feel it, the presence rising from below the outpost. It was not just sound or movement. It was energy, heavy and suffocating, pressing down on his chest like an invisible hand. One of the soldiers shouted in panic, "Contain it before it breaks free." But it was already too late. A deafening roar tore through the corridors, shaking the outpost so violently that entire panels ripped free from walls. The red mist outside surged, slamming against the windows until cracks spread across the glass. From below, a light burst upward, red, blinding, pulsing like the heartbeat of a monster. Eric stumbled back, shielding his eyes. His ears rang, but even through the ringing he could hear the whispers. They were everywhere now, layered voices of humans and aliens alike, screaming and laughing in the same breath. "Chaos lives. Chaos breathes. Chaos is you." The soldiers panicked, their formation breaking. Some fired wildly into the corridor, their weapons crackling with blue energy. Others ran, shouting orders that were swallowed by the roar. And then the floor split open. From the darkness below, a massive hand rose, human in shape, but impossibly large, its skin blackened like burned stone, veins glowing faint red. It grabbed the edge of the floor, pulling something vast and terrible upward. The outpost shuddered as if it could no longer hold the weight of what was emerging. Eric's breath caught in his throat. He could not move. He could not think. He could only watch as the creature pulled itself higher, its body breaking through the metal floor. Its form was human-like, but twisted and monstrous, made of shadows and fire. Its eyes burned white, and its voice was a storm. We are the flesh of chaos. We are the storm you cannot chain. The soldiers screamed, firing all at once. Bolts of energy slammed into the creature's body, but it only roared louder, the attacks vanishing into its burning skin. With one sweep of its massive arm, it smashed the soldiers aside. Their armor shattered like glass. Their bodies scattered across the room. Eric fell to his knees, his hands covering his ears. The whispers inside his head grew louder, screaming his name, pulling him toward the creature. He wanted to run, but his legs refused. Deep inside, he felt a connection, as if part of him recognized this monster. The creature's glowing eyes turned to him. For a moment, the chaos went silent. The whispers vanished. The only sound was the pounding of Eric's heart. And then, in a voice that shook the air, it spoke directly to him. "You are the key." Eric's body went cold. He shook his head, backing away. "No, I'm not part of you. I'm nothing like you." The creature tilted its head, its burning hand reaching toward him. "You are human. You carry the storm inside. The galaxy fears us because we cannot be destroyed. We are chaos made flesh, and you will awaken us fully." The outpost trembled harder, metal beams collapsing from the ceiling. Flames burst from the cracked floor. The remaining soldiers fled, their shouts fading into the distance. But Eric was trapped, the creature's shadow towering over him. He pressed his back against the console, desperate, his voice shaking. "Why me? Why now?" The creature leaned closer, its breath like fire against the skin. "Because you looked into the truth. And once you see it, you cannot turn back." Eric's eyes burned with tears, fear choking him. The monster's massive hand stretched closer, fingers curling like claws. The red mist outside finally shattered the glass, rushing into the room like a living storm. Wind howled, tearing at everything, carrying the sound of countless voices crying out. Eric raised his arms to shield himself, his scream lost in the roar. And in that instant, the creature's hand closed around him. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The creature's massive hand closed around Eric, its stone-like fingers burning with red light. His ribs screamed under the pressure, his breath ripped away from him. The storm of voices swirled louder inside his head, each whisper stabbing like a blade. He struggled, kicking, clawing, but it was useless. The grip was unbreakable. His vision blurred as a world spun in fire and mist. Yet in the middle of his terror, something strange happened. He felt warmth, not from the monster's burning skin, but from inside himself. A memory, his mother's smile, his father's voice, the laughter of friends long gone. Hope, love, sorrow, all tangled together. And the whispers shifted, no longer only screams. Some voices encourage him. "Stand. Endure. You are more than fairy." The creature lifted him higher, its blazing eyes locked on his. "Do you feel it?" The voice thundered, shaking the walls. "This is what they fear. Not the death you bring, but the fire you carry, a fire that never dies." Eric gasped, forcing the words through his trembling lips. You're part of us. You're human." The creature's jaw opened, its roar rattling the shattered glass. "We are every war you fought, every tear you shed, every time you rose again after the universe tried to break you. We are the storm of your species, and we cannot be chained." The ground split wider. The outpost groaned like it was being torn in two. Firelight burst from below, filling the control room with a blinding glow. The alien soldiers who had survived fell to their knees, weapons forgotten. Their faces were pale, their voices breaking in terror. It has awakened, the chaos, the end. The creature turned its head slowly toward them. Its hand tightened around Eric, forcing the breath from his lungs. "Do you see why they fear you?" it whispered. "Even now, they tremble, because they know your kind cannot be destroyed. When one of you falls, another rises. When your world burns, you rebuild it in fire. This is why the galaxy hunts you, not because you are weak, but because you are eternal." Eric's body shook, every muscle screaming. His mind begged for escape, but another part of him, deep, hidden, felt the truth of the words. Humanity was fragile, but their will was not. They were storms wrapped in flesh. The creature brought him closer, until their faces were inches apart. Its breath was fire, its eyes endless. But you, Eric, you are different. You are the key to unleashing all of us. That is why they came for you. That is why they fear you most. Eric's chest burned. His vision darkened. I don't want this, he gasped. The creature's voice rumbled like thunder. It does not matter what you want. The storm has already begun. Before Eric could reply, the red mist surged through the broken windows, swirling around them like a living ocean. The soldiers screamed as the mist touched their skin, dissolving them into ash. The outpost groaned, collapsing piece by piece. Eric felt his body weaken. The warmth inside him flickered like a dying flame. He thought this was the end, until something strange happened. The creature loosened its grip. For the first time, the whispers went silent. The storm of voices faded. And in that silence, the creature spoke softly, almost human. You have one choice. Embrace the chaos, or be devoured by it. It lowered him to the ground, its shadow towering above him. The red mist parted around Eric, leaving a circle of stillness at his feet. The monster's burning hand hovered inches from his chest, the glow pulsing with each beat of his heart. Decide, it whispered, carry us or die with them. Eric stared up at it, his body shaking, his mind torn apart by fear and doubt. Around him, the outpost was falling into ruin. Fire, screams, and silence mixed into one. He had seconds, maybe less, to make his choice. And deep inside, he knew that whatever choice he made would decide not only his fate, but the fate of every human in the galaxy. The creature's glowing eyes burned brighter, waiting. Eric clenched his fists, his breath ragged. He had never felt so small, yet never so powerful. The storm was inside him. The question was whether he would let it free. The outpost walls buckled, the ceiling splitting above. The last lights flickered out. And Eric whispered, I choose. The sound of the collapse swallowed his words. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The outpost collapsed around him, metal beams screaming as they tore apart. Fire roared upward from the broken floors, painting the control room in blood-red light. Eric lay in the center, the creature's burning hand hovering above his chest. The voices returned, a storm of whispers pressing against his mind. They screamed, begged, laughed, cried, all at once. But at the heart of the storm, one truth pulsed like a heartbeat. Humans cannot be broken. Eric's body trembled, his throat raw. He wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The mist pressed in from every side. The alien soldiers were gone, and the creature's eyes burned like stars. Choose! It thundered again, its voice shaking the walls. Embrace us, or fall into silence forever. Eric's hands clenched against the broken floor. His heart pounded like a drum, each beat louder than the collapse around him. He remembered the alien files, the fearful recordings, the reports of wars. He remembered the faces of the humans in the old video, whispering that chaos lived inside them. And he realized the truth. Humanity was not feared because it was perfect. Humanity was feared because it was unstoppable. Fragile, wounded, short-lived, but never defeated. Every scar was a lesson. Every death, a seed for tomorrow. Slowly, Eric lifted his head. His voice was weak, but steady. If what you say is true, then we are not monsters. We are survivors. The creature's eyes narrowed. Flames flickered through its veins. Survivors? You destroy. You rebuild. You bleed, and still rise. That is not survival. That is chaos. Eric stood, shaking, but unbroken. His body screamed with pain, yet his spirit burned with fire. Call it chaos if you want, but it is who we are, and I won't run from it. The whispers exploded inside him, not with screams this time, but with power. Heat surged through his veins, light sparking from his skin. The mist around him twisted, pulled toward him like a tide. The creature's massive hand trembled, its claws tightening, but not in control. It was afraid. For the first time, the storm of voices bowed to him. The creature roared, the sound split in the collapsing outpost. You dare to command the storm? You are not strong enough. Eric's voice cut through the roar. I don't need to be strong. I just need to endure. Light burst from his chest, blinding, pure. The red mist shrieked, dissolving into fragments of smoke. The walls shook, and the fire receded. The creature staggered back, its massive form flickering between shadow and flesh. Its glowing eyes dimmed. This is why they fear you. Not because you kill, not because you destroy, but because no matter how many times you fall, you rise again. You are storms that never end. Its voice cracked, almost human now. You are chaos made flesh. The creature collapsed into ash, its roar fading into silence. The outpost fell quiet, the whispers gone. Only Eric remained, standing in the ruins, the last flames flickering around him. He sank to his knees, his body exhausted, his mind torn apart by what he had seen. But in his heart, he carried the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was a storm, and storms could never be chained. Far above, in the endless night of space, alien eyes watched. They had seen what Eric had become. They had seen what all humans could become. And their fear grew deeper. Because the galaxy now knew the chaos was awake. Eric lifted his head, staring into the void. His voice was soft, but it carried into the silence. They will fear us, but they will never break us. The red mist finally vanished, leaving only the stars. And in that quiet moment, Eric understood why the galaxy trembled at the name of humanity. If you enjoyed the story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.